With the ending a Grand Overture event ending, it's time to see what banners are coming. As always, the event's release order might change, so keep that in mind. We are starting with the Portatori de Velluti event banner. The 5-star is Figurino. He is a merchant specialist with a talent that increases his damage when attacking enemies not blocked by him. His second skill bind up to 4 nearby enemies and deal physical damage to the bound enemies every second. It gradually consumes 25 DP during the skill duration. The damage is good, and the skill has a low SP cost of 8 and a duration of 8 seconds. An 8-second bind is insane on an 8 SP cost skill, but his trait is a merchant and the skill cost of 25 DP makes it very expensive even with a flag bearer. But that doesn't mean he is bad. Being a merchant means he has a somewhat low redeployment time to apply his bind across the stage. And as for the huge DP consumption, you can go around that by having 2 flag bearers or using the skill only on important targets. For the 6 stars, we have Vulpesfoglia and Lapland the Decadenza as the limited operator. Vulpesfoglia is a pioneer vanguard. Her first talent deals some arts damage over 10 seconds to an enemy when hitting them for the first time, allowing her to deal with somewhat high defense enemies. And her second talent increases the natural DP recovery rate by 10%, and if Vulpesfoglia doesn't take damage within 4 seconds, she restores 4% of max HP every second, giving her more sustainability in case you don't deploy a healer around her, which can be the case in harder stages. Her third skill generates 9 DP, increases attack range +1, attacks +110%, and attack speed gradually decays from +180 to 0. She attacks all blocked enemies and attacks stun targets for 0.2 seconds. If she defeats an enemy during the skill duration, she will obtain camouflage when the skill ends until the next skill activation. The increase in attack speed can almost stun lock enemies. This skill has decent damage and adds to her survivability by giving her camouflage, and overall, Vulpesfoglia has high damage and DP generation. If I had to point out a weakness, it would be her archetype. Both she and Flametail are great operators, but it is better to have a flag bearer with an agent vanguard. They have better utility and generate more DP to the point where you don't need pioneers anymore when you have enough DP to deploy guards early. But at the end of the day, it comes down to your playstyle and what you prefer. The limited 6-star operator in this banner is Lapland the Decadenza, and she is a Mechaccord caster. Her first talent gives her drone the following effects every 20 seconds it stays on the field. Increases max drone damage by 10% when dealing damage. Disables the target's special abilities for 2 seconds, drone +1. That means it is better to deploy her early to charge this talent because these buffs are game-changing for her. Also, when she is at potential 6, the buffs will apply every 16 seconds instead of 20 seconds, so the total charging time will go down from 60 seconds to 48 seconds. Her second talent gives +5 initial SP to Syracuse operators when she is on the squad, which can be especially helpful for Vulpesfoglia and Shamir. Her first skill is a toggle skill similar to Mountain's second skill. It increases her attack and grants her an extra drone. Her drones now have a global range, but they can only attack idle enemies, so it is best used if you already know if there are threatening idle enemies in the stage, for example in IS. Her second skill increases her attack, expands her range, and gives her +3 drones. She releases her drones to randomly lock onto an enemy to attack, with a 10% chance to inflict fear on the target for 1 second when attacking. With this skill and her talent fully charged, Lapland will have 5 drones, making her deal so much more damage and proc the fear more often even with the low 10% chance. Her third skill increases her attack, gives her +2 drones, and makes her drones attack global. The drones chase the nearest enemy on the entire map. When reaching the target, they inflict fear for 3 seconds and the drones lock onto the target to attack. Enemies around the drone have -50% movement speed and take 120% of attack as arts damage every second. The damage output with the 4 drones is very high, with damage over time for the surrounding enemies. It also has great crowd control in the form of fear and slow, and let's not forget the silence from her talent. All of this becomes better and more effective with the global range. Overall, Lapland the Decadenza is a top-tier operator that offers a lot in terms of damage and crowd control, and she is all the reason you need to roll this banner. And in case you are wondering about the other limited operators in this banner with lower rates, they are Mulesize, a solid vanguard, Texas the Omertosa, and Virtuosa, which are some of the strongest operators in the game. The next banner is the Joint Operation 17 banner. The Joint Operation banner guarantees that the 6-star operators you pull are only the featured ones, so if you have 2 or more of the featured operators, it's not recommended to pull this banner. Some operators in this banner might be changed for the end server. The 5 stars are Fang the Fire Sharpened, La Pluma, Poncerus, Sand Reckoner, Vendella, and Windflit. Only Fang and La Pluma are worth building if you end up getting them, with the rest being very underwhelming. As for 6 stars, Pascaline is the best slower in the game with strong damage over time. Dorothy is a good crowd control specialist who combined slow and debuff defense with decent damage thanks to her module. Pozmka is a very strong sniper with high physical damage thanks to her deployable typewriter, but she fell in comparison with other meta snipers due to her short range and meta sniper being too busted. Milinar was recently in the shop, so I imagine most of you got him. I consider him the best non-limited operator, so he is very much worth rolling for. Overall, the operators in this banner are strong, but you will have to think carefully before deciding to roll because this banner is in a rough spot between 2 great banners. Next is the Exodus from the Pale Sea event banner. The 5-star in this banner is Techno, and she is a Shaper, a new branch in the caster archetype. She deals arts damage, obtains a summon when defeating an enemy, and can attack enemies blocked by her own summons. Her talent allows her to summon a puppet dancer when a ground enemy within attack range is defeated. Her first skill increases the summon's attack, defense, and max HP, and it increases their block by 1. A defensive skill that is good if you have a damage dealer beside her, and you want to hold a lot of weaker enemies or some elites. Her second skill expands her range, increases both Techno's and her puppet's attack speed, and the puppet's attack becomes ranged. When the skill ends, all puppet dancers are regenerated at the closest deployable tiles to Techno. This skill is less dependent on her allies and it is good if you want to cover a bigger area with the expanded range. Techno is somewhat team reliant. Even with her second skill, she needs her allies to defeat enemies in her range since her damage is sometimes not big enough to defeat some enemies to summon her puppets. But in turn, she holds down enemies with her summons for her allies to defeat. So she works well with operators who can defeat enemies within her range without interfering with her summons. So most of the ranged operators, Liberator guards, and ambushers with good damage like Mizuki or Ascalon. The 6-star is Thorns the Lodestar, from the Alchemist archetype that has been recently added to the end server. Alchemists throw alchemical units to assist in combat, and their effects vary depending on the skill you're using. His first talent increases his attack when there are other operators within his attack range, and the duration of alchemical units thrown is extended by 3 seconds. Alchemist skills don't have a duration. Once they throw the alchemical units, they start recharging their skill immediately. So extending the duration of the alchemical units makes the effect last longer without taking the time from the skill charging. His second talent increases all friendly units' attack speed by +5, and reduces the enemies by -5. The effect doubles for allies and enemies in straight line tiles of 6 or more tiles. The attack speed buff isn't impactful even when doubled. But if stacked with other operators' attack speed buff or some relics in IS mode, it can make a slight difference. His first skill throws an alchemical unit towards an allied unit, increasing their defense within the 8 surrounding tiles to the impact point by +100, and restores HP equal to 20% attack every second for 8 seconds. It's a good AoE healing skill that can heal even enmity operators. The healing is good enough to constantly heal operators with high max HP like Mudrock, and what makes this skill good is the 100% uptime, with the alchemical units lapping when the skill is at M3 with the module. But similar to Teresa's first skill, using a normal healer is better in most situations, and unlike Teresa, Thorns cost way more DP to deploy. His second skill throws an alchemical unit that reduces healing effects received by ground enemies and causes them to take arts damage every second, and restores the HP of allied units every second for 15 seconds. This skill can hold 2 charges. This skill uptime is great. The skill only costs 20 SP, and the alchemical unit lasts for 15 seconds, and with the talent improved by the module, this skill will have only 1 second downtime. The consistent arts damage and healing are strong, especially with the large range and almost permanent uptime. And thanks to this skill ability to hold charges, it can be stacked using SP chargers like Telopsis and Stainless. His third skill has a passive effect that expands his range. The active effect throws alchemical units toward 4 operators with the lowest block, decreasing the attack, defense, and arts resistance for enemies in the surrounding area, and deals 210% attack as arts damage every second for 23 seconds. All these effects will increase over time. The expanded range is massive, not only increasing the area of the effects but also making the skill activation with allies easier and more reliable. His debuff stats is on par with the top-tier debuffers like Shamir and Suzerain, but what makes him arguably better is his ability to debuff both defense and arts resistance, giving him better synergy with most operators. The arts damage is similar to some 6-star casters, and it has a convenient range that can be shaped depending on the way you place your operators. Speaking about operators' placement, fast redeploys are the best way to shape his debuff area. The best example I can think of is Phantom, since he has a clone. His module gives him a new trait that increases his SP recovery rate by plus 0.1 per second when an alchemical unit is on the field. It also improves the attack boost from his talent from 10% to 15%, and increases the extended duration of his alchemical units from 3 to 4 seconds. The SP recovery increase and the alchemical unit's duration make a huge improvement in his skill's uptime, and in the case of his first and second skill, it helps it have 100% uptime. Overall, Thorns the Lodestar is a top-tier support that can fit multiple roles at the same time. His alchemical unit's effects are strong and consistent thanks to their almost permanent uptime, making this banner worth rolling. That's it for this video. I hope you found it helpful. Thank you for watching.